Oh. It, ex- excuse me, who are you?
Uh, hello. Um, where, where are we?
Rue, do you know this one?
No, I don't believe so. And as for where you are, you're in the realm of forgotten memories.
The realm. I'm sorry, what?
Realm of forgotten memories and dreams.
And tree.
You're where everything kind of eventually ends up. Anything that is forgotten ends up here.
Is this your way of telling me I'm dead?
Not likely. Normally the dead ones are. Well, some of the dead ones we managed to pull through, but most of the dead ones I've found have been outside of the cave, not here in front of us, somehow magically, even though we didn't pull you.
It's probably not even your time to end up in this realm yet,
Interesting.
but we're glad that you're visiting.
It's a pleasure to be here. I think.
Pleasure to have you. I'm Ephraim.
Ephraim,
I am Rue.
Rue,
And I'm Ashura.
Ashura. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Io.
Just Io?
Excuse me, where are my manners? I'm a little discombobulated. Io Stargazer, at your service.
Nice to meet you. What were you doing before you came to this realm?
All of the last I remember, I simply laid down. Uh, Speaking of which, are none of my companions here?
It does not seem to be that they are.
We laid down for a rest. We just finished making camp. As to what we were doing before that, we're simply traveling on the road. I'm sorry, this is all so much for me.
Don't worry, we'll take it in steps.
Well, this isn't the first time someone's popped into our realm without being pulled or belonging here. Maybe a meditative state of some kind?
Possibly. I don't see why not. I am akin to dreams. I can't say I've ever experienced anything along these lines.
So where are you from?
Uh, I'm from Whitestone. It's a city on the north end of Taldore. That's where I hail from.
Ah.
Currently, I wouldn't say that I really have a home. I've been on the road for many a year, traveling and finding my way through the lands. Home is not anything I have a solid foundation in anymore.
Well, you know what they say, home is where the heart is, so do you have anyone special in your life?
Well, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't grown akin of my traveling companions. Funny you should mention that. There's this elf beckoning him on. Beautiful blonde hair, blue eyes. I'm sorry. That's uh, probably not what you meant.
Ah, but the romantic interests are always interesting. Do go on. Is this person somebody who you share affections with?
Whether the affections are shared or not, I'm still unsure. Uh, she works in the tavern that my companions and I frequent, and I will admit there have been bouts of flirtatious attempt, but nothing has proved fruitful. So, on one hand, it could be shared affection. On the other hand, it realistically could also be trying to please the clientele to make sure that they come back. One can dream, though.
One can always dream.
You mentioned your party. Can you tell us about them?
Yes. Where to start? Probably the two brutes. Ugh, they're the first things you see whenever you see our party enter a city. They're very hard to miss. We have a dragonborn, absolute, massive, 7 foot tall. He's huge. Carries a large battle axe that lights in fire. Bronze-colored scales. He's a very interesting fellow. For looking like such a brute, he's actually quite well spoken. The other beast is the Minotaur. Damahau is what he calls himself. large glaive that stands probably almost as tall as I am. They're very fun, though. Very competitive. It's fun to watch them argue over petty things. The Minotaur likes to try and headbutt over things. The Dragonborn, not so much. We have the Ranger, this elf. He's a fantastic shot with a bow. I've never seen such deadly precision with such a weapon. We have this strange. I've heard tales of fairies, but I've never seen one before. But we have this one who she rides the Dragonborn's shoulders when she doesn't want to walk. But it's fantastic to watch when we get into a tight situation. She morph her form. It's amazing. She goes from this tiny stained glass wing-looking person to these magnificent animals of vibrant colors. It's quite a spectacle.
Is she a fairy?
I believe she is. That's what she claims to be. I've never seen one. I've only heard of them. I can do nothing but believe her. She's a fun one. She smells like brownies, oddly enough. I've never pinpointed why. I feel like she's hiding them from the party, and I've tried to get her to share, but she never does. It's quite frustrating.
Rue, have you given out special brownies to any fairies lately?
No, the special brownies are for the people that we interview. I've only recently started making those. I don't think we've interviewed this fairy. Where's my mind going and leaving me?
I don't know about you, but I'm hearing that there are brownies available.
Yes, those are for at the end of the interview.
Oh,
Have you?
and the final of our party. The final one is she's a wee human. Quite fitting for the rest of the group, I think. A human named Evanora. And she, while being on the shorter side of things, she is definitely full of fire. She carries a shield and a mace almost as big as her. She says that she serves a god named Pelor, though I don't have much knowledge of the gods outside of mine, but I respect that she has her own followings and her own beliefs. She's quite handy in a tight situation. She's saved the Minotaur and the Dragonborn a number of times with this vibrant orange and gold light that just pours from her hands. It's amazing to watch, really.
So, how come this party assembled? Like, what was your initial mission?
Well, I was the latecomer of the group. The group apparently had been together for some time before I showed up. I randomly bumped into the Dragonborn, Gorath. I bumped into him at a tavern in Iman, the Rusty Anchor. I was looking at the job board trying to find something that I might be able to accomplish on my own. I've only been in the city for maybe a week or two at that point. But I was looking at the job board and he approached me and oddly enough began to pick on me, standing almost a foot and a couple inches taller than me. Naturally, he scoffed at the fact that I was trying to find something that I could handle on my own. But I'm not one to back down from a challenge, so I stepped up and I told him, if you think that you're so great, and if you think that I'm nothing, let's take a job, and I shall prove you wrong. We took on an investigation job, helping out the local authorities looking for some farmers who had been disappearing in the local area. And needless to say, very quickly, I was able to prove myself rather competent in the face of danger. We trekked off for a little under a week searching for these farmers and ended up digging up this. Disgusts me to think about it. We dug up evidence of a cult nearby, abducting the farmers, taking them for these experimentations with their souls and their bodies, trying to prove that resurrection by dark means was obtainable. It led into a deeper rabbit hole, as they say. Essentially, we took it upon ourselves to attempt to help the kingdom born. I don't deal well with undead. I don't deal well with necromancy. My goddess frowns upon it heavily. So naturally, I was the one to push and say we should continue our search, regardless of the job posting. The party didn't agree at first, but through some charming, I was able to convince all of them except the fairy. But the Dragonborn was able to do that convincing on my part, so we have been traveling in search of these cults, rooting them out where we can. It all started with a simple job board and a challenge and in a test of metal to prove that I wasn't nothing.
I think that's a good way to settle disputes.
It felt right.
So, are all the cultists hiding in rabbit holes?
The few that we've rooted out, it would seem that they are. The abductions happen late at night. The few laboratories and meeting points, ritual sites, whatever you'd like to call it, they have all been, so far, they've been found dug up into the sides of mountains, utilizing cliffs to keep out of the way. But it wouldn't surprise me if they began to get a little more bold with what they're doing. They've been such a problem for so long already. There has to be a point where you're comfortable enough to take your magics and your rituals out to the public in order to draw fear or draw more to those who wish to serve the same cause.
So, do you know who the leaders of this organization are?
In terms of the actual organization itself, no. We've stumbled upon a few of the, I don't want to call them leaders, the sect leaders, I shall say. Whether there is a mortal at the head of and the culmination of this cult, we don't know yet. But we have found that the cult as a whole, they are working with a blue dragon currently. We rooted him out in one of the laboratories, and he attempted to stop us as we were beginning to destroy the local experimentation items. Letting some of the farmers go, he impeded us and said that we were, in his words, we were impeding his ascension. It was confusing at first. We weren't quite sure what it meant, but we took the fight straight to him. I still say it was a foolish idea, but I understand why Gorath and Domahau decided to charge in. They were the first two to initiate the fight with the dragon. I thought it was foolish, but traveling with companions for some time, you gain some level of care, so we ran in and gave him a good beating. That is for sure, but naturally, we took some blows as well. Domahau ended up we almost lost him. But luckily, Evanora and Feata were able to bring him back, thank goodness. Through more discovery, through more digging and sniffing around these laboratories, we did find a journal, whether it was from the dragon or from somebody who works closely with the dragon. We believe that his goal is to essentially research and discover the effects of lichdom in order to ascend to lichdom himself, and that is not something I would wish on my most mortal enemy.
I would call it descending.
It depends on your lookout, but yes, I would agree.
So, did you catch the name of this dragon?
Did not yet. It is still something that we search for. It was only a couple days ago, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, that we discovered the the journal to begin with. We would like some more information. I would like some more information, but that is just not something that we have stumbled across yet. But the investigation is well underway, that is for sure.
So you said that your goddess was not a fan of the undead. How did you go about meeting your goddess?
I wouldn't quite say I met her, more so along the lines that she found me. I'm not sure what your religion status is here in your realm, but back where I'm from, I serve the one they call the Raven Queen. When I was younger, living in Whitestone still, she came to me and visited me in a dream. Much similar to this, I would say, though not surrounded by three strangers asking me questions of my life, but sorry, I digress. She visited me in a dream. I was taking odd jobs in Whitestone, trying to just scrape by. I was working for the local tavern there, trying to make sure I had a roof over my head most days. One night, I was having a nightmare. I was being attacked by these wolves made of shadow, and amidst all of the shadow and darkness, she came as this light, this small bead of light. I ran to it, afraid of the wolves. I ran to this light. I was then pulled into this dark room, pitch black. The one bead of light remained, but the wolves were gone, and from the bead of light, a small porcelain face grew, it seemed, into the frame of my vision, to which she introduced herself. I truly believe that she gave me purpose. She said that I was destined for so much more than the measly life I was living in Whitestone, and it just felt right listening to what she said. She said I was destined for more, and that I should trust myself and follow the stars to my destiny. In that I packed what few belongings I had there in Whitestone, and I set off in whatever direction my feet took me, which ultimately enough led to Amon.
I see. Well, speaking of belongings, I noticed that you seem to have a bag of holding. You also have an interesting cloak.
Yes, the bag actually was a gift. Ellie, the elf that I interested in, she knew that I was going to be setting off with this group of companions for some time, and she provided it to me as a gift to assist in my travels.
Would you like us to bring you some tea for your coughing throat?
Yeah, if you have tea, yes, I would not.
We'll get some kobolds in.
Kobolds.
Yes, they're quite handy.
They're kind of cute. I've never seen a kobold up close.
I mean, when they're not trying to run around and cause havoc.
Yes, sometimes they need rounded up, but for the most part they listen. For example, Jeremy is good about keeping my darts, as somebody called them, going to the right places. Wonder why they're called darts. I still don't understand that. Aren't they called cigarettes normally?
Cigarette smokes?
Smokes. That's another common way of talking about them.
Oh,
Yes.
my goodness, I'm sorry, I get sidetracked very, very easily. You had also asked about my cloak.
Yes.
Yes. If you see here, there we go. These, I hate calling them tentacles, but these secondary appendages here. I don't know if you have these in your realm, obviously, but these are, this is the hide of what's called a displacer beast. I'm not sure if that's anything you're familiar with.
We've interacted with a few.
One night, while we were out at the beginning of our investigation, we were attacked by a number of displacer beasts. We were able to hold our own and dispatch a few of them, one of which I was able to successfully skin. Taking the hide back to Amon, we visited a tanner where I had the hide tanned, and then took it to the local mages guild and had it enchanted. So this cloak carries the similar effect to what the displacer beasts naturally have. So it is quite handy keeping me, I don't want to say out of danger, but help keeping me protected from those who would harm me. It's quite useful.
Yes, I wish I had one of those before I ascended.
They sort of scare the kobolds, so
Oh, I
don't bring them into the cave.
most duly noted.
I think that was more towards Rue.
Yes.
Oh, also duly noted.
I think that there was a misunderstanding in that Ephraim thought I wanted one of the creatures. I want one of the cloaks.
Ah, I see.
Well, I would have. I don't really get into much danger anymore, so I might not really need one as much as I did in my younger days.
It is quite handy. I will say that much. I would say it's probably my most prized possession.
Speaking of which, how much gold have you earned during your expedition?
Well, upon returning to the city and sharing news of our findings of a cult abducting farmers, we were paid for the job for the beginning of the investigation. That was, if I recall correctly, after we split it between the group, I believe that was roughly 200 apiece. It's that job was so long ago. I apologize. It's hard for me to recall specifics of the payments. Currently, though, if I had to guess, let me grab my money. Never mind. I don't have it. I forgot this is a dream. This all feels so real. I believe that across the odd jobs we've done and what we've taken from the cultists, I believe I've amassed close to 1,500. It's the most money I've ever seen. Sometimes I don't know what to do with it.
Not a small haul.
It has been a lot of work, and luckily there have been many trinkets found for selling. Money and different items spritz throughout the cavern. A cult doesn't just fund itself from nothing. So, luckily, in dispatching of those disgusting people, I have taken what I see as fit payment for what they have done to the locals and what they plan to do to the realm. It's disgusting work. It's the least they can pay. Quite literally.
I have a few unrelated questions, but this one is slightly related to your quest. What is the personality trait that you have that has got you in the most trouble while doing your jobs and questing?
Oh, goodness. I would guess, and especially as Gorath would say, is I'm very blunt. I'm quick to trust. I don't struggle to keep my mouth shut about specific details of things. I definitely think that has gotten me and the group in trouble a time or two. People don't necessarily take a kin to hearing about how you blow somebody's head open with a bolt of magic. Nor do they like being told that I can set people on fire with the snap of my fingers.
Yes, that could get you in some trouble. And another question for you. If you were granted godhood, what would you be the god of?
Oh, goodness. I could be granted godhood. I'd like to think I'd be a god of justice. I struggle with those who would do harm unto others for their own personal gain. I understand it in some scenarios, but there are lines. It's a struggle sometimes, but I do truly believe that I try to be just and fair in my dealings with people. So I would like to believe that, while some may not agree with me, I like to believe that I would be a god of justice.
Quite a noble goal.
Another question, if I may. What is one of your favorite places you've been to?
Well, I do enjoy going to the Rusty Anchor to visit Ellie. Outside of that, though, my absolute favorite place, my chosen point of meditation, especially when we are in town after returning from a number of days of travel, there is a lighthouse in Iman. It sits on the southwest side of the city, and it overlooks the ocean. And late at night, if you go up to the top balcony, you can see everything. You can see the stars from the north end of the continent all the way down to the south. You can see the stars extend out over the horizon of the water. You can see the reflection of the moon, of the stars, and the waves below. It's a beautiful place of just peace, bliss. There's no merchants barking at you to buy their wares. There's no displacer beasts or dragons trying to eat you. In that moment, while I'm up on that lighthouse, it's just me. Me and the stars, the moon, the Raven Queen, whoever's there. It feels like it's just me. And it's wonderful. It's a serene break from the reality of everyday life. It's quite wonderful.
Let me just say that not all dragons try to eat people.
I I like to believe that. I think dragons are fascinating. Sad that my first real meeting with one, he did try to eat me.
Well, some dragons just need a taste.
Rue, sure, Ephraim is not going to do anything, is he?
No, he's not the kind that would eat a person unless they made him very mad.
Okay, just had to make sure I was not misinterpreting that.
Don't mind him licking his lips. He does that normally.
I will take your word for that.
How do you like the tea, by the way?
Oh, the tea is wonderful. Thank you. It's definitely helped bring some ease to my nerves. I appreciate it. In fact, could I maybe get one more?
Oh, of course.
Thank you. It's much appreciated.
Before we try to figure out how to send you back to your plane, does anyone else have any further questions?
Not I.
Yes, would you be interested in showing off your Eldritch Blast?
How did you know I could do that?
I had a feeling.
Right. Yes. Is there something specific that I should cast it towards?
Well, there's a stalactite there. You see the one right off the entrance.
Yes, the one that looks like it's been hit before.
Yeah. See if you can knock it down.
Of course, okay.
That is beautiful.
Thank you. The Raven Queen taught me how to do that.
Very good. Wasn't quite enough to knock down the stalactite. That thing that I always forget which one's which of.
Stalactite.
Yes, stalactite. I almost said stalagmite, but I can never remember if it's might is up or might is down.
It's okay, I never remember either.
But one day somebody must actually knock that thing down. That will be quite a day. That thing's been hit more times than I think I have.
Interesting way to attempt a remodel, I will give you that. Strangers blasting it to try and knock it down. How amusing.
Yes, it is usually quite amusing to see.
And I believe that will be all for us.
It was a pleasure to share my story.
Yeah, the pleasure was ours.
Thank you for joining us today on Delegation of Dreamers, and until next time, have a good awakening. You're where you go where whatever is there. Fuck. Damn it.
No worries, I can edit. I won't, but I can.
Thank you.